name is BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run. Warning. Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Welcome to episode 26 of Chasing Joe. What you are seeing here is starkly different, contrasting images. I'm BenFlyingRetro, and S-Jubs looks like he's being maybe interrogated.
Yes, for those of you guys listening to the podcast and watching the visual presentation on YouTube, I'm in Singapore, and if you thought that you'd be seeing scenic Singapore in the background, you know, maybe the Flyer, the Merlion, or the light show that happened after dark, no, you're getting me in a broom cupboard because, yeah, this is where we're at, man. I find any little nook to try and podcast from. So,
it reminds me of when you watch those real life SAS docs and the guy is like, and it's, yeah, that's what it looks like. You're all blacked out.
Or I don't know, some kind of noise torture. They're playing an alarm for 6 hours straight.
S-Jubs, you already know what I'm about to say, but I am continually blown away by the Joe community with their kindness. I received a care package this week, and it blew my mind. And I'm just going to get a fax through here. I'm just going to read out what I received.
No way.
Dear Ben, I got interested in skateboarding in 1988, give or take. There was about a year where collecting GI Joe figures and skateboarding overlapped each other. Right away, I found it amusing that an enemy character from GI Joe shared a name with my new favourite magazine, Thrasher. The character even looked like a punk rock skater. I imagined he was called Thrasher because maybe he used to skate. The GI Joe file cards had some pretty creative backstories for many of these characters, but sadly, Thrasher's file card mentioned nothing about skateboarding. Over many years, I had imagined that maybe underneath Thrasher's makeshift chest armor, his torn-up half shirt most likely had a Thrasher logo on it. One thing led to another, and eventually a 3D sculpt of an armorless torso was made and printed. A tiny logo transfer was acquired, some bubble packaging was made, GI Joe-sized skateboards were assembled, and a card back was illustrated. I put together a few of these by hand for some friends who I thought might get a kick out of something like this, and here we are. Todd Bratwood. I think I'm saying that right. Now, he's on Instagram. He asked for my address, and then I completely forgot about it. He's somewhere in the US. The link to his Insta page is down below, but look what he sent me.
Oh, so nice.
It's so
custom carded.
Yeah, there's so much detail in here. He's got a little Thrasher magazine. I'm absolutely made up with this.
It's a beautiful thing. Custom file card. Hopefully that does mention some deep cuts about skating.
He's got green. He's dyed his armpit hair green, and he's got a Zartan. No. Yeah, look.
Oh yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, amazing. The detail on the Thrasher magazine and the Zartan skateboard. It's just joyous. I'm going to get it like framed and put it on my wall maybe. I don't know. It's absolutely joyous. But
oh
yeah.
My God. He's actually doing like a lip trick on the railing of the Thunder Machine.
Yeah, like it's incredible.
That front bash bar, whatever you call it.
So a massive shout out to Todd, and that totally made my day, made my week. So the community, S-Jubs, it's always surprising us.
It's
great.
nothing like getting a custom fig, man. That's a
It's
high
so
love letter,
personal.
man.
It's so personal. It's like there's so much meaning wrapped up in that. It's
And
joyous.
work and care and expertise. I'm not a customizer. I'm blown away by any time anyone sends me something that's been hand painted and designed. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Man.
taken a lot more out of them than just like maybe patience and time and money. It's art.
Yeah, people are very talented. Another talented person that I know is my postman.
Gandalf.
Gandalf the Grey.
Expelliarmus postal.
S-Jubs, blows my mind that they were making those films in the late 90s. Doesn't that seem odd to you?
Yeah, it does.
It's
To
crazy.
think of the Lord of the Rings as like a 90s property.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I was
not
like,
that. They
I was
came
like,
out
what,
in the
they were-
noughties, right?
They were casting that when I was in sixth form. Blows my mind. Blows it.
And yet,
Right.
like, Ian McKellen playing an old dude, he's still an old dude. He's still kicking. He's still doing his thing. But, like,
Yeah.
to think, like, 30 years ago, he was cast as a wizened old Gandalf
Yeah.
the Grey.
Well, he's like you. He likes to tread the boards more than films,
He
doesn't
saw
he?
me in a play once. True story. Probably my biggest celebrity moment. Yeah. He was in Cape Town shooting something, and one of his
Wow.
acting coaches was a director that I had at the time, and he came to see the show that I happened to be doing at the time, and we had a drink. I asked him about X-Men. I said, like, are you done playing Magneto? He said, oh, no, they're going to go and do a younger actor, you know. This was before they did First Class.
First Class.
And got old Fassbender. So he knew.
Wow.
He knew that he wasn't being invited back, but then things changed.
Things did change.
Special missions.
We've got Special Missions Issue 1, June 24th, 1986.
So, Ben, is this not part of the Special Missions Motherload that you got?
No, this is a decanted and 100% part of the Special Missions Motherload that I got. I just thought, for, the experience, I best package this up.
It wouldn't be Chasing Joe without an unboxing every single week.
For sure. Now, let me tell everyone what the cultural landscape was on June 24th, 1986. So, your Marty McFly, get in your DeLorean, type in the coordinates into the flux capacitor, and off you go. So, a Big Mac would have cost you $1.59. If you went to the cinema, strap on and prepare yourself, because you could have seen in one day Top Gun, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Karate Kid Part 2, Raw Deal, Short Circuit, and my fave, Space Camp.
Don't know that one.
No! Space Camp? It's a good one.
I know Raw Deal. I thought that was as obscure as it got, but...
Well, you won't believe it, S-Jubs. A bunch of kids, they go to, NASA Kennedy Space Center. They actually end up in space. By accident. That's what I mean.
God.
Whitney Houston had the #1 album, Toys R Us. Apparently, the whole planet was nuts for Teddy Ruxpin.
Right.
Don't know what that's about. But
an interactive teddy bear. Did he have some electronic features? He had eyes that closed, definitely.
But if it was me and I was in that Toys R Us, I'd go round to the Joe aisle and you could have picked yourself up a Terradrome playset. You really could have done, and you should do, Marty McFly, if you can fit it in the DeLorean for the return trip.
You cannot.
But before you return to 2025, make sure you go into the arcade and play Outrun, which literally just dropped. You could play Akari, Warriors, Rampage, one of my faves, and Arkanoid, another one of my favorites.
Wow.
Had both of those on the C64. If you went to a comic shop, you could have bought alongside this issue Daredevil issue 235, the return of Daredevil's deadliest foe. It's Mr. Hyde again. He was everywhere. He was everywhere in the 80s. Low rent villain, man.
Totes.
I mean,
I thought you were going to say Kingpin or Bullseye or Electro, but no.
I always want it to be like an amazing issue, and it's like, what is with this guy? Look, Daredevil.
Have you watched episodes 1 and 2 of Born Again?
No, but I'm pumped. I want to, because I really loved the Netflix show, which is really old now. I was living in London when I watched that, and
I was living in Cape Town.
we're all just sobbing into our Campbells right now about where we used to live, but I enjoyed the first 3 seasons, and it kind of got pulled. So I'm glad that Disney has kept the continuity.
They folded him into the Defenders, but
they did.
I snoozed on that one.
Yeah, that wasn't great. Wasn't great. I was into the Netflix street level verse, whatever that was.
They somehow had the magic bean when it came to doing Marvel TV series. They struck the right tone, whereas these kind of one series things that Disney's been doing are hit
have
or
they
miss.
not dropped it all in one go then, Disney?
I think they just did the first 2 this week. Without date stamping this episode too much.
Yeah.
So hopefully by the time you're listening to this, episode 3 is available and you can
enjoy that. I know what these Disney execs are doing. They want to bring back the water cooler chat. They want people chatting about episode 3 that just dropped.
Or episode 26 of Chasing Joe.
Exactly.
Find your nearest Chasing Joe fan and chat about issue 1 of
Now look,
Special
we all
Mission.
know that this cost me £1.60 because it was in my eBay bundle. So at episode 26, we've got a running total of £117.67, 151 bucks. Slowly climbing. Let's do a smell test on this sucker.
Sniff it up.
You're sniffing up. Oh, whoa. So where are you with this issue? Where are you?
Oh my goodness, I have it in physical form.
Yeah.
I got this
Like to get to
as
the
a
spine.
child. It was I also got it in a whole passel of special mission books. So this issue 4, I think, issue 5, issue 6, like the early run, and I loved it. It was my first introduction to the Moray and the Fang.
Just looking for the staples. Sorry.
Let's find the center. He's got it. He's laid it upon his schnoz. He's getting a deep gout of...
Jeez, it's kind of like damp twigs and mixed with seaweed, or there's ocean in this book.
Oh, really? Well, it is a nautical tale after all, so that's very fitting.
I think that happens. I think whatever's on the pages resonates with the width.
With the atoms in the book.
Now look, let's talk about this cover. Wetsuit and Torpedo. Oh, it's a fiercely exciting cover. I like the
Zek,
font.
Tom Beatty, Dream Team, right?
I like the slaps, first issue in a new series, the missions we couldn't talk about until now. Wetsuit in green, I just love that. You know.
Colorist is a bit off-piste on this one. I'm going to bring down the mood just slightly. Torpedo is not accurately colored at all, and it drives me a little bit nuts.
Ugh. Yeah. I tell you what, if you picked this up in 86 and you were a kid and you just glanced, I always think
Who the hell are these guys?
Well, yeah, or you're like, whoa, look at Snake Eyes in the back there.
It's not helped by the fact that he's got his goggles perched on his head, but the colorist has colored it all gray and given him that kind of lensed over his eyes look. So it looks like he's got kind of glass over his eyes and got this really squared off, like waste paper basket hat.
Yeah.
Kind of like the AIM, like Marvel soldiers, Advanced Idea Mechanics.
Oh, yeah, know them.
Yeah, they're dressed in yellow. They've got these
yellow dudes, great fodder.
Basket heads. Yeah, that's what Torpedo looks like on this, but all in grey.
Look, this cover actually kind of brings out my worst fears and nightmares because I have a fear of when I'm in the ocean, I don't like being next to massive things or even small things like even climbing onto a boat. It like freaks me out. And my worst nightmare would be to be in the ocean and have like a huge oil tanker go right past me. Just the size of it. Is that called agoraphobic? Is that what that means?
Not sure what phobia it is, but
a fear of large objects in the ocean. So what they're doing.
That. So when you're walking across like a gangplank between the jetty and like a big boat that's kind of drifting in and out, like a ferry boat.
That would tickle me, but it's more when I'm in the ocean.
Right.
Like I could never swim past a docked ship.
How many tankers do you get near?
Look, I live near a damn shipping lane. But look,
don't you a Navy SEAL? Are you conducting special like training exercises?
Dude, they do a lot. They do a lot of SBS stuff around here at night. Like a lot. Yeah, they're all based down here. Oh, wow. So, look, I love the ocean. You can't get me out of there. I just have this thing about beneath the waterline, knowing that it's going down. Like, what these two fools are doing, no chance for me.
Mm-hmm. Scaling a massive, massive boat hull.
I do think this is a really exciting cover. I do love it, I have to say. Where are you at with it? I think you've got frustrations with the colorists.
The visual confusion will always bug me, man. Like, Zek did do a damn fine job with the details, but they were colored incorrectly, and it does drive me nuts. I mean, like, we as Joe fans know this is Torpedo and Wetsuit, but that takes some extrapolation.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
If it wasn't for that, I'd give it a perfect score. But this is your first special missions issue. You're doing a second title for GI Joe. GI Joe is a very, very recognizable brand. It's linked to very, very recognizable toys. So the synergy is not there between the products.
They really wanted it to make it different.
Yeah.
Well, look, let's open this sucker.
Torpedo's mask doesn't even work like that. Neither does Wetsuits. But anyways, I'm tangentializing. Let's talk about what happens in this issue. So GI Joe is out at sea, and they are looking for a downed or sunken American Los Angeles class sub. The Russians are after them as well, and so are Cobra. But it turns out they ain't no sub down there at all. They want to help a Russian captain from defecting. He wants to defect to the United States, and G.I. Joe is going to facilitate that.
Yeah, lovely.
Cobra and the Red October. October God. Sorry, it's been a long day. Basically, this sets the precedent for so many special missions moving forward. It's all about G.I. Joe pulling a fast one on not only Cobra, but the Russians too.
Yeah. Thoroughly
special missions.
Another thoroughly detailed synopsis.
And somewhat scatty.
I freaking love this issue so much. Let's just open up to page 1. We're over in Europe, the Baltic Sea. There's nothing glamorous about that sea. It's cold, S-Jubs. The Joes are on a vessel flying Swedish colours. They're probably breaking international law by doing that. But just, this is my ideal kind of opening page. I just love it. We're not in the US. We've got something different here. Oh, it's tantalizing, the setup.
Herb tripping on art, doing what he does best, and picking out an extremely well illustrated hind helicopter.
Why do I love nautical stories so much? It just makes me think of how I used to play with these guys. Like, you turn over, you got Deep Six, Wetsuit, Torpedo. I mean, come on, S-Jubs. It's Playtime. Playtime with your divers.
I think this marks Polly's first comic book appearance.
Yeah.
Polly was not introduced with Shipwreck way back when in the 40s of the run. So I stand to be corrected, but this might be the first time we're seeing him, her, it.
Is Polly a macaw? Macaw? Is that what it is?
I would just call it a parrot, but yeah, sure.
Would you just call it a parrot? Yeah, I had
I'm simple like that.
I had a crazy friend in Australia that bought one of those things. Yeah, they ain't pets. I tell you that. They are not pets. But yeah, I love anything set on a goddamn boat. Fantastic. And then before you know it, we got fangs. We got fangs appearing.
Has he got a fang? Okay, you got a good one, Ben. So I have two fangs, one in Australia, one in Cape Town. The one in Australia has slightly wobbly blades. There's a bit too much play on the hub. The one in SA, man, you can crank that thing up and it spins for minutes.
It's just a great entry toy into the world of G.I. Joe. I think I had a couple of these things. Now look, I don't want you trying to tell me that this massive bomb underneath is some Gatling gun, S-Jubs.
No.
Now, come on.
It is absolutely. It's the crowd pleaser, man.
It's just so satisfying, this central cannon as well.
Marvelous engineering. And it's not too
joint.
tight, it's not too loose. It's still got friction to this day, but
there's so much
sag.
Play. There is so much play to be had out of these little guys. Just fantastic. I am missing a missile. Need to rectify that.
You do have a roll cage. That is impressive. I see it's a little bit snapped though, but hey, it's holding its position.
But look, back to this issue. It's really exciting when these turn up. It really is.
Yes, a trio of them. And I mentioned before, but my first blushing with the Fang.
Yeah.
I only knew what a Fang 2 was. Now I finally could see its lineage.
Yeah, the Fang 2's fun, but it's no Fang 1, that's for sure.
Something very cool, very chibi about the Fang's design. It's perfect.
But look, I mean, there's a great panel in this book where, Boosh, don't you even think about it, sucker.
No.
Sorry.
Don't interrupt this issue.
Yeah. Where it literally gets cut in two by the minigun.
I know the one you're talking about.
It's so awesome. Just right in two.
So Dana's flying the hind, which leaves Colonel Breckhoff the delight of using the chain gun cannon, which is a 30mm gun, which absolutely just saws a Fang in half. Ha!
Sorry, I've got a friend.
Oh, hello, friend.
Hello, it's me, Bushi.
AKA the Fluff.
Yeah. So, yeah, Fangs cut in two. I mean, why isn't this issue a movie? What does she do? She orders the eels onto the boat, doesn't she? And that is fantastic. And they're coloured a little bit funky as well. But I couldn't help but I kept being reminded of the frigate level on GoldenEye when they were sort of tactically taking out that ship. Just two eels wreaking havoc. I think she even says, 2 eels are worth way more than your...
of Soviet troopers.
And dude, that is how I played with them. They weren't fodder. They were
commandos.
Tip of the sword. Nice. Yeah. They did, most of their damage when they got out of the water. They were just insane.
It's nice seeing them getting some play on a ship deck with automatic weapons. Because, they came with fins, they came with an air tank, they came with a spear gun. Yeah. But let's not lose sight of the fact that these are Cobra's SEALs. They need to be able to operate out of the water as well. This gives them a showcase doing that. In a sort of a more exciting way than issue 50, which, if you can recall, eels were like the saboteurs. They were detonating all the charges, so they had kind of a landward role. This time, they're taking up assault rifles and they are gunning down Soviet positions, blowing up the main gun on the boat.
So how are you feeling about their sort of gold look?
Misleading. I did not have any kind of first-hand knowledge of the eels. I'd never seen the toy to this point. So when I saw them illustrated in this book, I was like, wow, that's an interesting-looking Cobra troop. Of course, the grey is superior, but I think the reason we see them picked out in different colors is not an error, but rather a choice, because what color is that battleship? Or that frigate?
Of course. It would have been a nightmare.
They would have disappeared a lot.
They would have disappeared. I mean, it could have actually looked artistically quite cool as well. But, yeah. So, meanwhile, when all this is going on, Deep Six. He gets in the shark, doesn't he? And goes down.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, the mechanics of Deep Six using the shark as like a dive vehicle has always been interesting to me because, like, does he actually go down there in his dive suit inside the shark and then pop the hatch underwater?
Yeah, because there is that great sort of cinematic moment where horror shows approaching, and it's like it pans in, and he's not there, and then bonk, smacks him with a wrench.
So Horror Show actually lifts the hatch. I suppose he clocks that there's no one inside. He lifts the hatch, and that's when he sees that there's a VCR,
yes,
like a tape deck hooked up to this line that's communicating to the Joe's topside, and it's just showing footage of, I suppose, a toy in a fish tank, a miniature of a Los Angeles class submarine. So there's no sub down there. They've just got footage of like a pre-recorded footage. And I must say, the thing that was going through my mind on this latest reread when I saw this panel was Dennis Hopper in Speed, where he notices the
the glitch
on the footage. He then realizes, oh, this is looped footage that I'm seeing. This isn't live. So that must have been kind of what was going through Horror Show's head at that moment when he was like, huh? So the line that we spliced into and that we're getting a feed from is just hooked up to this tape.
It's incredible. It's great. It plays out like such a great episode of TV. Don't you just love this like trifecta, the dynamic of having October Guard, Cobra, GI Joe, all operating so close like this? It's just interesting and very page turny as well.
It is the sweet spot of special missions, and I might have said this before, but like special missions is the opportunity for GI Joe to encounter global politics more so than like the main title had like an even keel between like domestic American conflicts and then like maybe your sort of emirative benzines and your Frusenlands and stuff, like whereas special mission seems like it's always going to be rubbing up against the Soviets, the other world superpower, because these are more international based issues.
Even if this was a straightforward issue without the twist, it would have still been fantastic.
Yeah, like, if there really was a sub down there, some kind of rescue mission. I mean, it would have had to be more than one issue. This is Larry's famous, like, massive premise and then quick resolution. Like the resolution happens in 2 pages. Turns out the captain wants to defect. Tells his sob story, which is actually quite moving, because his wife was a Jew, and so he couldn't rise any higher in the Soviet Navy. And then she died, and he was like, when she died, I lost my passion for being a serviceman. So cheers, I'm going to retire to the US of A.
And also, we get more Dark Knight, Bruce Wayne, Batman, Skyhook, Extraction. I mean, it was all the rage back then.
Well, I mean, this might have definitely predated its appearance in, what was it, that Transformers-esque issue?
Yeah.
Was it? It was in the latest of the 140s.
It was,
we did it already. Check the tapes, listener. But yes, the
Skyhook. Morgan Freeman is like, I know what you've been doing, Morgan Freeman. You've been reading Special Missions.
Yeah, man. And they actually call it out. It's called a stabo rig. Stabilized body extraction.
That's it. And it's quick, man. You are getting out of somewhere, quick. There best be some sort of inertia in there. Otherwise, you're going to snap a spine or two.
Yeah. Well, look, the C-130, I'm sure, is coming in at absolutely the slowest speed possible.
For
but
sure.
Still, like, look at how his body's ragdolled. Like, yank, whoop. He's like he didn't hit that communications tower. That danger close, boy.
It could have been messy. Youch, like that dude in Die Hard 3 that gets sliced in half by the wires. God, I've got this pooch on me.
I mean, the moment he's been bisected is when they kind of drag the body in 2 separate lots. But this brings me to maybe a little bit of a query or quibble, or I guess if you were able to throw this issue 5 minutes into the future and like what would happen next, because we have a conclusion that Cobra is not going to open fire on the Russians because the Russians have Baroness and Firefly aboard. But what's stopping Destro from torpedoing the Joes? In one fell swoop, he could murder a massive chunk, perhaps all of G.I. Joe's nautical experts in international water. Or even in Swedish territory. Like, this isn't like he's in the middle of United States waters.
Well, I'm smelling a free comic book day penciled by S. Jub's little 5 minutes after series. You trying to tell me that you think,
Murder on the high seas.
Shipwrecks just opened up some Yojo Cola?
Perhaps prematurely.
But look, they're on the high seas. You think he can get in the sub, take a shot? They'd be long gone.
I think a sub might be able to outrun that.
Firefly's quiet in this issue, isn't he? Just he has a really good piece of dialogue when they are boarding the ship where Baroness is like, Cobra! And he says something about self-interest.
For personal survival and the promise of riches!
Yeah, it's a lot to get out. It's a lot to get out.
Cry. Well, he's a mercenary after all. But he is a true believer insofar as he puts the Cobra sigil on his uniform. Maybe that's just to stop blue shirts from shooting him.
He's coloured in beautifully. So
yes, but you said he's very quiet in this. Like maybe too quiet, but too background. Like I had even version 2 action figure by this point. This is my first exposure to his version 1 look. Loved the look, but I was like, this guy needs to be doing more.
Even the Joes are quiet, really, in this issue. Like, Wild Bill is correct. Like, the cover would have you think that the Joes play down some serious fire, but the reality is that they never fire a shot. They're not involved in the firefight at all. So,
would you then posit that maybe Special Missions is more about the October Guard than G.I. Joe?
I don't know if you could ever say it's more about them.
Well, okay, this issue then. Let's
for sure.
Think about who has the most page time, the best lines. Oh man, Colonel Brekhov. It's hard to get past that. We are seeing the story unfold through the October Guard's eyes because we aren't aware of the double cross. We aren't aware of the bluff. We find out about it as they do, and we find out about the defector as they do when he sort of monologues. That's the first time we really get the whole picture right at the very end. So I'm going to say that Special Missions, at least this issue and several like it, definitely put the audience on the side of the October Guard.
They are such a great slice of Joe. If you're caught short, you're on a train or something, grab yourself a Special Missions, one and done's.
Single serving adventure.
Yeah, I had such a great time reading this. I'm going to read it after this again. It's just great. It's like it's definitely my sweet spot. It's the perfect balance between a slightly more grounded story, but not obsessed with being super real world, to a kind of this dog. Boo!
All right, well, while you've been interrupted by Bush, I'm going to pose the question that I wanted to pose earlier when we spoke about how we played.
Yeah,
okay, so you said you like a nautical adventure.
I do.
You said that it channels how you used to play with Joe.
It did.
I'm going to guess that nowhere in BenFlyingRetro's history in the frosty UK did he have access to a private swimming pool.
No.
So your Joes weren't seeing actual water time, were they?
My Joes were more river-based than ocean-based. So we had a lot of streams and rivers and things like that. But also, S-Jubs, I mean, don't forget the biggest play occasion. On a Sunday night, it's bath time.
No, really?
In the late 80s, you get your Joes in the bath, you dive in.
Were you imagining the high seas?
Yes! For sure!
Under, like, bathroom lighting. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I was very into the water-based Joes. What about yourself? Did you lean into them, or were you less interested?
So much. No.
Yeah.
My first two major vehicles in this order
swimming pool kids
were the Cobra Hammerhead and then the Cobra Bug.
Oh, wow.
So those two were always navigating sort of Hunt for Red October style through a massive like underwater trench to sort of pop up at some secret Joe base and just lay waste to it. And then
Wow.
like disappear back the way they came.
I
That
mean,
was a very, very popular trope. I used to like draw all the curtains in the lounge and put on a kind of a whatever screen saver, whatever made the screen blue, basically.
Okay.
Like we had a TV that could give you just a blue screen. You could either select blue or black when it wasn't getting any kind of input. So that blue cast a blue light on the lounge.
Ooh,
I was in behind the sofa with my mates.
Yes.
Just cruising, just navigating that trench.
That's great. I had the water moccasin and the tiger shark, and we, at the back of the garden, we would put bin sacks down and then fill up and make like a big kind of lake. That was a big one we used to do. It was
You got away with murder as kids. That's hectic. That's a lot of mess. That's a lot of cleanup off.
Yeah, it was like a garden beyond the garden that we could sort of do anything in. So we used to make lakes, but it was perfect for those vehicles, especially the water moccasin. It was so boggy and dank.
Okay.
It wasn't.
I have a similar story, but I'll only tell that when we get to the issue that it pertains to. But you had a moccasin and a moray.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Holy balls, dude. Legendary vehicles. I did not have either. I didn't have a whale either. I had the tiger shark.
Yeah, I got that in Portugal. Got that in Portugal for my birthday.
Let's talk about the moray.
No, dude. Sorry, I don't know. I didn't have a moray. Did I say that?
Okay.
When did I say that?
You didn't say that. I was hoping you did.
Oh no.
But let's talk about the moray anyway.
So, the water moccasin would have been. I bought that off of someone.
Yes.
Secondhand. Gotcha. Probably still one of my absolute favorite vehicles. The color of that thing. Yeah. Now my best friend had this.
So you did have
big.
Some contact with the moray.
It's big. It's so big.
Yeah.
It's a really, really big toy. It's so awesome. It's
bigger than it needs to be. I'd say it's close to scale accurate as a cigarette boat, as a hydrofoil. Like the moray is almost 1-to-1 with what you'd expect the real thing to be sized at.
Do you know what?
It is big.
This vehicle, like, unlike, it has swag. Like, it has a lot of style. It's really cool. I mean, it's full on Cobra for sure, but there's something that makes it different. It's just so rad. It's like
always going to be a fan of a unique Cobra symbol.
Yeah,
and the Moray's
cool.
got that. It's got the kind of the snake kind of swoop, which became a symbol of Cobra Navy. I think they dusted it off for the Cobra Piranha, the little ship.
I don't know how you feel about this, or if this is controversial, but for my money, I just like it as a go fast boat, and I'm less interested in the hydrofoil aspect of it. You
take it or leave it.
Yeah. And I guess it's for speed.
Yeah, absolutely. It made it prohibitive to play with. So that's maybe what you are referring to. Like, you can cruise it around on your couch, your sofa, your carpet, your bed, no problems with the foils retracted. Let me just tell you this, Ben. You get it out onto actual water.
Oh, that's where the fun begins.
Yes, sir. To have those foils deployed and to have the water just kind of jetting over this as it hydroplanes.
Yes.
A go-fast boat is all very fine and well, but you do get extra speed by lifting up into hydrofoils because you're presenting less friction, less surface area to the water. I mean, the next step beyond a hydrofoil is what they call an ecranoplan. Don't know if you've ever heard of that. That's when you actually get the boat out of the water completely.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Becomes a low-flying aircraft, basically.
Just around the Cobra docks, what do you think someone like Copperhead makes of this? Do you feel, it feels like, because he used to race go-fast boats.
He used to race all sorts of things.
Yeah, but I feel like he'd be just really
a river man. I think he was on the roads as well.
I just feel like he'd feel, I've got this little water moccasin. Look at this thing. Why am I not driving this?
I
But
think it's valid to put him behind the wheel of Amore. Absolutely.
yeah.
I think it's valid to put him behind the wheel of a Stinger or a Cobra Earthquake. I think it's unfortunate that a guy like Copperhead is so penned as the Moccasin guy.
Yeah.
Because he could be so much more. He's one step short of a Dreadnought. I guess he just didn't want to accept membership from them. He's like, no, I got my own game, thanks.
I like his voice in the cartoon. What episode did I watch last night? Is it World's End, where they
Worlds Without End. I was about to say, yeah. He
so
kicks
it's
that whole thing off.
An alternate timeline. Fantastic memories of that episode as a kid. My God, I used to watch it on repeat. Because
and he's got quite a southern drawl, doesn't he?
Yes, but I thought in that episode they had. Who is it that loses his mind? Is it Clutch? Steeler.
Yeah.
Yeah, but does he have a feature in Does he have a feature in Sunbow again?
So I don't know if it's Steeler, but there are some continuity flubs if you take the Deke series into consideration. Steeler, however, maybe you do see him in the movie. Maybe there's a cameo. Doesn't get a line.
No,
but
he loses it, man.
Continuity flubs like Clutch. You might see again. You definitely see Grunt again because he gets a version 3. In the 90s.
It's heavy, man. When they're going through the file card names, and they're like Bazooka deceased. He's like, I'm never gonna see these guys. It's great episode.
It is absolutely top tier episode. Would you say that issue 1 of Special Missions is a top tier issue?
Yeah, top tier, massively top tier for me. Really is. Like, what was the issue we did? The snow one. What issue number?
Yes, Snowblind.
Snowblind. Yeah. Okay. Snow. Sea. Tick. They're kind of. Yeah. I just love this. We'll do a desert one soon.
Oh, for sure. There's a handful of those in Special Missions as well.
Yeah. Special mish. It's nice just popping in a special mish every now and again. But you do it in your real life as well. I mean. They're just great. 28 issues of pure joy. Do you have all of the 28 in your PC?
I have all of them in my PC. I have 2 trades, which I think cover all 28. And I'm working on getting all of the floppies. But
are you? I guess we want more of everything. But do you think they were still going strong at 28, or do you think it was cut short due to declining sales, or do you just think they said all they wanted to say when they cut it short? Combination of everything.
Special Missions was obviously launched when sales were at an all-time high, and they thought that the brand could support 2 titles.
And it could for a while.
But we're now into the declining years. Special Missions, I think for the majority of its run, was kind of like showing a steady decline. That's not based on anything other than my own conjecture. But in 1986, GI Joe was outselling Uncanny X-Men. It was humongous.
It's hard to imagine Special Missions not shifting the exact same amount that A-Ra did, but I'm sure it didn't. It probably did like less than half the numbers. But if you were enjoying A-Ra so much, you'd imagine you'd
squeeze out a few more dollars from the comic buying public, of course.
Well, a few more dollars, not even. It's 75 cents. I mean,
Lordy.
Come on. 40p in the UK this was.
Those were the days, my friend.
Those were the days. Well, look, another comic book discussed for the logs. I'm going to just sit and enjoy my skateboarding thrasher.
Stunning.
What are you going to do, S-Jubs?
I don't have much Jonas to hand, unfortunately. But I think episode 2 of Daredevil beckons. Thanks to Chasing Joe, I have been exempted from the bath, story, and bed regime. So I might actually slip right through, uninterrupted, no kids in my path, to the lounge, sit down in front of the big screen, and...
Oh, fantastic. What's on your rotation for bedtime stories? I mean, me and Scout, I bought all of the Transformers Lady Bird read-along books. There must be maybe 7 or 8. Whew, I've read them a lot, that's for sure. I really have. What sort of things do you read?
I have tried to get Elliot into Transformers and GI Joe. I've got a handful of like age appropriate.
Young. I mean,
well, yes, he's 3. He's turning 4 in 2 weeks. In any case, we're getting there. I've not given up hope. I think comic books, particularly like I was raised on Tintin and Asterix.
Oh yeah,
I think those have universal appeal. I hope as adventure stories, as colorful, like something for the kid and something for the grown-ups as well. So that's hopefully on the pipeline. I don't know. At the moment, it's just Axel Scheffler books.
I see.
And Julia Donaldson. That's got a magic pairing of lovely written words and great illustrations.
I think we'd all like to have S-Jubs read us a bedtime story because I think the acting and the vocals and the characters would be on point. I do my best.
You do a bang-up job yourself, sir.
I do my best. It's great when you know the story so well that you can just switch into it. You don't have to make sure it's the right person.
Word. Yes, no, that is...
I was like, I've got to make sure my star scream is high-pitched and different to Megatron's
I bet it pumps you
lower.
up, dude, because
it
if
does.
you weren't excited about the book, that time of day... I'm like half asleep. I'm stumbling over my own words. So yeah, you gotta find a book that jazzes you. Literally, jazz.
Jazz to Moonbase 2. Jazz to Moonbase 2. Right, on that bombshell, let's get out of here.
Yeah, yo Joe, everybody, and goodbye.
See you next week.
Jinx.
Jinx again.